Damn, what is that, bro?
Hades 2 is finally here, and it's incredible. Like the first game, it's a story-driven action roguelike, which for my more blockheaded viewers means it's kinda hard and kinda goes hard. I spent over 200 hours in the first game, so you bet your sweet bippy I bought this game on the day it released in early access, and I'm gonna make it your problem to listen to me explain why this game is so fantastic.
Hey, wanna listen to some tunes?
Even in light of the first game's incredible soundtrack, Hades 2 stands out. Every piece feels like it was made with intent and has a lot more presence than the original. For example, here's a comparison between the first game's shop theme and the second. Every piece in here feels better than the first game, and we also see the return of the Hades motif, which is used for story building. The boss themes in the first game were all incredible, and that follows into Hades 2, particularly with Hecate's fight and the fight against the Sirens, which is an absolute fucking bop. Regardless, I think it's time to stop gushing about the music and start talking about the real meat and potatoes, the gameplay. Hades 2 feels a lot smoother than the first game, and it might not show up on video, but once you play the game, I think you'll get it. Instead of having two dashes like the first game, you have a single dash and the new sprint button. I think this is definitely going to be a decisive choice amongst the community, because I didn't really like it at first, but it's kind of grown on me. Combat's changed a lot as well. The first game only had normal, special, and cast attacks, which is still present in Hades 2, but you also have an optional hold of all these attacks called Omega attacks. These are more powerful versions of attacks that use a new consumable, magic, which you have to build around now since the normal attacks aren't very viable for regular builds. You also don't have to chase your cast down like a demented monkey because it's no longer a consumable. Boons in the first game usually just gave you an attack boost and then a status effect. That's still present here, but there are a lot more boons that change the way you play the game. The design of all the gods has changed, and there are new ones too, and I can guarantee you that you're going to see all of these on Rule 34 within the next week. Enemies start out less aggressive than they were in the first game, and then slowly ramp up to be way more aggressive, especially in later areas. The only complaint I'll say about this is that it sometimes feels like Melinoe doesn't have enough raw movement speed to avoid some of these enemies, and can get a little frustrating, but that might just be because my gameplay is absolute donkey shit.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Vranos, you there?
Once you're done getting your ass handed to you by Kronos, you end up back here, the Crossroads, this game's hub world. This is where you're going to be spending a lot of time in this game, so it better be damn good, and Hades 2 does a better job than the original ever did of making your home feel like home. Your friends are here, of course, with characters like Phrynos, your support frog, Dora, the Listless Shade, and my favorite character, as well as Hecate, Nemesis, Odysseus, Hypnos, and more. These are the characters you'll be interacting with most. so the writing better be as good as the first game, and it absolutely is, if not even better. Everybody has their own quirks and personality traits, and they don't feel shoved in. They feel like they should be here, and you're going to have a tough time of who to give your nectar to here, just like the first game, which is fantastic. The Crossroads is physically much bigger than the House of Hades, which lends itself to more characters inhabiting it. As you progress the story, more characters are added, and there's a lot more to do here, so you get to bond with the enigmatic personalities that are here. It also looks much better, even without the possibility to add decorations like the first game, although the devs have said that they plan on implementing that in the future. The aura around the place is entirely different than the House of Hades 2. You can interact with shades here, like in the first game, but they're treated markedly better than those in the House of Hades. You really feel like you're in it together to fuck up Kronos. As for your amenities here, there's a lot of parallels with the first game. Your cauldron is much like the contractor, while you trade resources you find for various boosts in or outside of the Crossroads. The shopkeep is still present, where you'll trade bones for other resources and occasionally sell some of your own items. But there's also a fair bit added as well. You can order resources that will be delivered to you by Charon later on, which takes time to receive. And you can now plant crops in soil and then harvest them to help fulfill cauldron orders.
I'm the best.
Here is your training area, where you'll be doing all your major upgrades at, and choosing your weaponry to send Kronos in the next week. Here, you're able to meditate and choose Arcana cards, which act like the Mirror of Night in the first game. You use Ash to unlock a majority of these, and they provide small boosts to your next run. What differentiates this from the Mirror of Night is that you have Grasp, which limits the amount of cards you can have at any given moment. You have to choose the best cards for you and ignore the ones you don't like, while searching for more Psyche so you can increase the amount of Grasp you have. It's also notable that there's so many options to these that you have limitless possible combinations to fit your playstyle. The grid you see on screen now isn't even close to the total amount of possible cards you can get. And here is your altar where you can choose weaponry and tools, a new addition to your equipment lineup in Hades 2. I'm currently aware of 5 weapons and 4 tools that you can get at the current moment, but I imagine that list is going to be increased eventually. It's also important to mention that there are aspects for each of these weapons, increasing their variety further. Tools are important for resource gathering, and you can only pick up one for any given run. This encourages going for multiple runs rather than just rushing through the game, which I think will make goobers like me slow down when replaying it in the future. You need to craft all these tools, and it's likely that you'll unlock another tool by using one of the earlier unlocked ones on your runs. Out of all the weapons I've tried, my favorite by far is the Witch's Staff, the starter weapon. And whilst I like all of the weapons, I think this game is far more apt for ranged ones rather than melee, due to how the movement system works. But that doesn't mean you can't make it work. There are a ton of possibilities to make yourself extremely powerful in this game, and just because my trash ass thinks that the Witch's Staff is best doesn't mean you have to as well. In general, I think the meta in this game is going to involve big damage weapons because of how much health bosses have this time around. It takes a while to complete a run compared to the first game because of the health increased in most enemies, so glass cannon builds might be the most popular for speedruns. But that's about all I've got for you today. Hades 2 is an incredible game, and without a doubt worth the damn long wait Supergiant made us sit through. It's built on the first game in almost every way I could think of, and I can't wait to dig in for more. The game is currently available on Steam in the Epic Games Store from what I'm aware of, so basically, it's only available on Steam. I imagine console support will be added in the 1.0 release, so console players, saws, but get fucked, go play Hades 2. And if you can't afford it, rob a gas station. It's worth it. See you later, fuckers. Peace.